Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Foxy New.
David Benavidez is better than you think. And look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And David Benavidez is a guy who gets a lot of fanboys and also a lot of haters. So it's very hard to judge on how good or bad David Benavidez truly is. Half of his fans are Canelo haters, and half of his haters are Canelo fans. So it's really hard to get a real unbiased take on how good or bad David is. So look, let's just break it down honestly and objectively as possible. Now, for all the people that say David Benavidez is just absolute trash and garbage, those guys have to be thrown in the hater category. David Benavidez is not trash. He's not garbage. He's a good quality fighter. Now, on the other hand, the people that say David Benavidez is elite and he's up there with the best of the best, those guys are fanboys. And those guys' opinions don't matter because they're going to glaze every time this man breathes. So you can't take somebody who's never fought at the top level and say they're elite. You simply can't do that. So you're going to get the haters, you're going to get the fanboys, and the true position where David Benavidez stands is he's a good fighter with an upside. And what that means is he's good, but at some point he could turn out to be great. But he has to prove it. See, he still has the ability to have the upside to be great. He has not reached that status yet. The only way that we know if he can ever be great or an elite fighter, David Benavidez has to fight guys like Artur Beterbiev. He has to fight guys like Dimitri Bivol. He has to go out there and beat those type of guys to truly be graded at that level to see exactly where he belongs in this conversation. That's where David Benavidez has to show us how effective and how good he is against that level of opposition. Now, when you look at David Benavidez and some of his stats, you see that David Benavidez lands 8.5 jabs a round, which is an elite metric by almost any category. When you look at it, 8.5 jabs a round, that's insane. Now, when you compare that to guys like Dimitri Bivol, he lands 8.3 jabs per round. And Noya Inoue lands 7.7 jabs per round. So David Benavidez lands more jabs than other pound-for-pound elite fighters like Dimitri Bivol and Noya Inoue. Now, the difference here is those guys are fighting a higher level of competition, so you take that with a grain of salt. But one thing you will say is David Benavidez is extremely effective with his jab, and it's a great tool and weapon for him. So if David Benavidez can perform at this level as he goes up in competition, it's really going to show us how good David Benavidez truly is. Now you look at other qualities of David Benavidez that's really impressive. His combination punching is really excellent. He has a huge heart, so the man is always willing to battle in the ring. He's hungry, no pun intended. So you look at David Benavidez, and the guy is literally a special fighter at this stage, and he has the potential to grow to possibly be elite or great one day. But one thing I will say is he does have an area of concern. His defense is a massive area of concern. The fact that he blocks punches with his face at sometimes. You also see that his footwork can be an issue. And his chin, at this point, we don't know how good or bad his chin is. Yes, he was dropped by a non-puncher and a journeyman at some point in his career. But at the same time, that was a long time ago. David Benavidez is likely about to face the biggest puncher he's ever fought in his career in Anthony Yarde at 175 pounds. And we're about to find out, can David Benavidez take those shots? Can he be evasive? Can he control that fight with his jab? We're going to find out a lot about David Benavidez in the next few fights.